Matt Jansson, the Kings rookie. Number 2 draft pick this year. Grimson and Matt Jansson. Matt Jansson of the Kings into this scrap here, and he is 6'5", 230 pounds. He's only 18 years old. And he's handling himself very well against Grimson. Grimson's had his helmet knocked off, as you can see, and he's throwing some lights, and there's a right by Jansson. And he wrestles Grimson down to the ice. The Kings' 18-year-old rookie wrestles the Grim Reaper down to the ice.
There was no stopping Matt Jansson. When he went on that chip, the first thing he had in mind was to find where Stu Grimson was. That's exactly what he did. A couple of big men going at it.
Hit. And a retaliation now as Jim Cummins grabbed a hold of Matt Jansson immediately, and Jansson is the Kings' resident heavyweight. Look at that roundhouse right, and another. Oh. Jansson's toughness has kept him in this Los Angeles lineup, and he just showed a ton of it there with Jim Cummins.
Bob Probert.
We're going to whistle here, and now it looks like a fight in behind the play.
Oh!
Looks like George, is that Georges Laraque?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Matt Jansson.
And Jansson has so far gotten the better of Laraque, who jumped in as Jason Smith started to go with Jansson. Laraque jumped in to help his teammate out, and these guys have battled pretty well, but I got to give that one to Jansson with some of the earlier connections he made on Laraque's job. But you may see that go again later on. These guys have battled before.
Well, Jansson gets the early rounds, therefore the decision.
I thought we'd see these guys go, especially if the score opened up like it has to 3-0. Laraque, and here's the hit by Smith, and Jansson doesn't like it, so he gives Smith a shot, but then Smith passes off smartly, passes off to Georges Laraque, and there are the connections right there. The 1 and the 2, and then after that it's a wrestling match. But Jansson, a very good job against.
Dowd, Johnson and Shelley have dropped the gloves. Round 1 here with 11:17 to go in the first. Shelley and Jansson go.
Got to give Jody Shelley credit for standing in there, because Jansson was landing some big haymakers to begin with. Fortunately for Shelley, they landed off the side of his helmet. I'll tell you what, Jody Shelley did very well, considering it was all Jansson to begin with. He stuck in there, hung in there, and actually landed a couple of his own towards the end. Jody Shelley, surprisingly enough, was not involved in a fight against the Nashville Predators. He did pick up a
at center ice. They wanted to go before the puck was dropped. And Jansson knocked him down with a right, but Parker trying to recover, so one shot. Well, you can smell this one coming a mile away, Peter. Yeah, the referees were warned. The linesman stood right there and said, I watched a mouth that said, they're gonna go. The linesman was saying to the referee, and what they're doing right here is they don't want against the instigator. They're just saying, throw away the gloves. And Jansson is one big man. 6'5", 235. Here, I think Parker lost.
Bumped O'Donnell, and they're going to have a go. Big Matt Jansson and Mark Janssens, and O'Donnell with a couple wild rights right in front of the Hawk bench. This is taking place. Oh, and a big right hand from Jansson got in. Janssens trying to answer. He got in a left hand. And Jansson with another right. And they're almost leaned over the boards right to the Hawk bench. And the officials don't want to get in there yet. Jansson with another big swing. And that right hand might have gotten in the last one. And finally the officials show up.
They're going to need a little help from, I don't
don't think there's any blood showing, but the drug company Jansson and Johnson.
And here we have another center ice scrum. Johnson and Shelley start chucking them.
Jody Shelley did a good job to regain his balance. After being down, Jansson threw some haymakers, and right now he's on top. Both David Ling and Jody Shelley had fights against the Colorado Avalanche. They both had fights here in the first period.
Here they go.
Jansson and Henry. Oh my goodness.
Jansson wanted to get back at him. This is a heavyweight bout. Johnson's the more veteran in this department.
Linesman letting them go. Oh, Jansson with those jackhammer rights. Henry proving he's game, trying to stick one in there late. Oh, baby, good night.
That was a hard one.
Yeah, that was one. That was taking your lumps. Matt Jansson, well, an Ontario native. Guy who's had head injury and concussion problems. Geez, you'd think a couple of years ago.
Daniels, now he and Matt Jansson are going to get into a scrap. Scott Daniels and, Lacroix, Dan Lacroix. Daniels is 22, this is Lacroix, number 32, and Matt Jansson. And look out if Matt Jansson gets that right hand free. Here's Matt Jansson, now he throws a left that time. Now a left by Scott Daniels, and another left by Daniels. So Scott Daniels coming back, and a right by Matt Jansson. 6'5", 230 pounds. You got to give one, you got to take one. Look at they love it, those guys. They were holding each other off. Finally, they got tired. Here's a smile finally from Big Matt. But both of the players were holding each other off. You saw they were grabbing the arms and really couldn't get anything going. But once they got loose, then they were allowed to really swing, and Lacroix got a couple, but you could kind of see that Jansson was waiting for one quick punch, and finally it was Jansson that got the right.
Jansson and the big kid that we saw in October, Andrew Peters. 300-some minutes, I believe, a year ago for the guy on the white at Rochester.
Oh, boy. That's the one.
Matt Jansson.
Oh, they got him that time, too. Oh, those are two solid hits. No question there.
Well, Matt Jansson absolutely drilled Andrew Peters.
I think Peters is asking what day of the week it is. He gets him with a couple of the lefts, and then he comes across with the right across the side of the head. But it's just as Peters is trying to recover, and does Matt Jansson ever tag him?
Well, we'll see if this gives the Wild a lift, and this one is certainly worth another look.
Here's the lefts, and then here comes the right across the earpiece. That buckled him a bit, but it's in the recovery that Peters just doesn't get it back. And here, right here, he's just not recovered. He tries to get back up. Boom, right on the button, right on the eye, and there down goes Peters again. So, Matt Jansson,
you should have stayed down.
You know what? In those cases, if you're taking a few and you don't want any more, you stay down, because you know that Matt Jansson respects the fighter's code, and he wouldn't have hit him if he stayed down. But he got back up, and Jansson finished.